Welcome, everyone. Julie and I have already had a conversation beforehand. We could have gone on, and we've actually decided we're going to create a series. Welcome to this one. Welcome, Julie, for being here. Julie and I have known each other a while through Facebook, conversations, and through, my partner's just decided to make some noise. Can you hear that? No, you can't.
No, it's all good. Don't worry.
Conversations, not worrying, because we want the rawness here. So Julie is a rich witch, and I can't wait for her to explain that to you. And we're going to talk things at the moment. We don't know where we're going to go, because this is what this is all about. Aromatherapy, astrology, oracle cards, full moon, the fact that I'm a Capricorn, full moon's coming up. Let's get started, Julie. What does that mean, please?
Thank you for having me here. And yes, we had we were just getting so excited before this. We could have gone on and forgotten to do the recording. Welcome and thank you for being here, everybody. I'm Julie Nelson, Rich Witch. And where Rich Witch came from was about living a rich life. And yes, I am a witch. I have been all my life. It's always played a role in my business, but more quietly than I have now, not for any reason other than I just never thought about it that much. And when I say living a rich life, what is that? Well, we all want money, but rich to me, living a rich life is loving ourselves, enjoying the moment, being in the moment, thriving. And thriving can be a lot of things. Rich can be a lot of things. Wealthy can be a lot of things. Abundance and prosperity. And so for me, it's about looking at every avenue, every corner, every part of the circle of our life, because I have discovered, I'm in my mid-60s, that there's just too much control in this world for me.
Yes.
And I do not like being conformed or being, following what everybody else does. And I've realized that I have allowed that to happen in my life. And even without knowing, even when I've gone, I'm a revolutionist, I'm a rebel, I do what Julie wants to do, I've still realized just of late that I've still been conforming to certain things, especially when it comes to how to do business.
Yes, and yes. I'm so with you, and because we were talking about this beforehand, because I've had PTSD, and we've both experienced things in our life. And like you, because I've been wondering, why did I end up conforming to the extent that I did, particularly in business? And I couldn't understand, because up until then, I'd been like you. I had gone against my late father, who was Catholic, that I should be married. I didn't want to take on the husband's name. Now, nowadays, that might not sound a lot, but I'm 60. In those days, that was quite a bit.
Absolutely. I was the same.
Yeah. And I didn't have, I wanted children, but I didn't have them. So I'm not conforming to that aspect either. So I wondered often what happened to me, and I can go back to a couple of things, but the main was, for me, a car accident 14 and a half years ago. But then I lost sight of everything, me discerning. It threw me back into a childlike state of being. So I learned to conform because I didn't trust myself. So talk to me about, for you, what does it mean not conforming, like authority and things like that, and with the work that you do?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, where to start? This is a lifetime of stuff, from being sexually abused, raped, bullied, beaten, not within my family, external of my family. I had amazing support. My mum was phenomenal. I'm so grateful I had her as my mother. So I've always been a little rebel, but I never knew how to be a good rebel. So I was quite angry and aggressive.
Yes.
Because I had no self-worth, no self-love. And, there was a question that I always used to ask. I remember being in my late teens and early 20s, and people say, when you find yourself, your life would change. And I used to go, what the fuck does that mean? I had no idea. It's like, well, what does that mean? Nobody could give me an explanation, just those words. Anyway, so in different stages in my life, and I have to say it's all there in my astrology chart, I've had a lot of trauma, and I'm actually being counseled for trauma right now. And I have been for several months, and I'm okay with that because it's where I can go and vent, get angry, cry, say things that I normally wouldn't say in public. And, and then my counsel, I end up laughing because I always have a pivot. And like the other day, a name for a podcast came up called Righteous Rage, because she said you have righteous rage. And I went, oh. And then I flipped into getting really passionate about this topic I could talk about. And we both ended up laughing because I'm crying and spitting. And then I'm laughing, going, oh, I love this. So what I have long-standing trauma. So, and I've learned to deal with it. And, you know, when I turned 60, it was like a switch turned on, literally. And I say this to people all the time. I'm seeing that you relate to that. And literally, it was like in a moment, and it was like the flick of a switch. And I went, oh my God. And each decade that I've lived, I've loved myself more and more and more. Yeah. And I've been unapologetic, but turning 60 was like the light went on. I know what being a rebel is. I know who Julie is. And I've been saying for a few years now, because people say, what do you do? How do you live? And religion. You know, people knocking on my door, and I'm very polite and go, no, thank you. I have my own religion. And they go, okay. Can I share? I'll just diverse for a minute. I had this lovely Jehovah's Witness and her husband one day, and I said, I'm not here to offend people. I'm just being real and raw. You know, this is my truth. And I'm unapologetic about it. And I just said, I'm really sorry, but I don't believe in the Bible. I don't believe in Christianity. It's not something that I follow. And her first words to me, oh dear, I'm so sorry. That's really sad. And I went, no, it's not. It's like, I'm not sad about it. I'm a liberated woman now, and I am more unapologetic than ever. I don't go out to harm anybody, because being a witch, one of the most important things, and witchcraft is really like so misunderstood and very much bastardized, really, by a lot of people. And the simplest way that I could say to you what is witchcraft is, it is about honoring the earth and honoring all that is and honoring ourselves. That to me is what witchcraft is. And yes, I love to do spells and be in ceremony and ritual.
Potions.
That my aromatherapy perfumes are my potions. Yes. So everything that I do comes under that rich in life. Now, that doesn't mean to say my life is always dandy, because it's not, and it's written in the stars. Thank you. Why I chose this, I'll never know. But then what I do understand, I do know actually, is because sometimes, like lately, it's just been, oh, please, I need to have some bliss for longer than a few weeks, you know? And it was like, well, whatever you believe, what I do know is that every time I go through a challenge and I'm able to process it in my way, in my time, I don't follow rules that don't work for me. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about always with no harm to another. But I'm not a textbook girl, because we are all unique. We are like our fingerprint. We are like our cosmic blueprint. Nobody works the same. We are so unique. And so I process, and what happens is when I do, I explain it like, because I only have one earth in my chart. So I'm either in the deep, dark ocean with Scorpio, and I can get lost down there, or I'm up there in the ethers with all the pixies and fairies, and it's just like, whoa, and I have to work constantly every day to ground myself. So I'm aware of that. But what happens is I always see myself coming up. I don't know how this happened.
Oops, I've lost you.
Vision always go, oh.
Yeah, you're back. You're back. Yeah.
Right. Where did we get up to?
Climbing back up.
Yeah, so I'm climbing back up into the light, and I look at it as my Lilith and my Venus.
Okay.
Because Lilith is our shadow aspect, and she's really powerful. And then Venus helps to come back with all the abundance and the prosperity and the love. And it's like every time this happens, I step into a new evolution of myself.
Yes, I love that.
Something.
A new evolution of self. So I've often been wondering how to word that, you know, and I love that, a new evolution of self, because that's it. Because for me, when I hear that, I feel this sense of freedom, because I kept thinking I was always going to remain in trauma no matter how much I did. I got also caught up in that spiritual toxic, bypassing. I finally get that now, that toxic positivity and that sense of, you know, I just felt I was never evolving. So I got caught up in that. And I think you explained it. So coming back to the astrology, being Capricorn, too much in my head. I went, yeah. So sorry. So just bring back to your evolution, you know.
Yeah. So with the Capricorn, so this is interesting too, because we've got a Capricorn full moon coming up on the 3rd of July in the Southern Hemisphere. And Capricorn, of course, is an earth sign, but they're often in their head. They're very strong minded, and they're very mission driven, but that can take over and they can forget. But what I like to remind people, if you look at the image of Capricorn, she is half fish. Well, I say half mermaid or merman. So there is that association to the water, but it is an earth sign. And if you look at the archetype of the mermaid, she is the seductress. She knows how to lure in. She is alluring. And so the way that you can do that is, it's like tap in, and she's very sensual. So I'm referring to women all the time because I work with women. So very sensual. She is the seductress, and there's different types of the mermaid archetype. And so if you think of the earthy Capricorn and mission driven, then she's really, really good at, and this can just happen, or it's something when we become aware, we can train ourselves. It's a lifetime of learning, and how we choose to respond or react is totally up to us. And so I'm thinking right now with Capricorn is that being in that sexy, sensual, seductress mermaid energy with her very grounded energy, and she's quite headstrong, so she has the capacity, the ability to create the life she wants by pulling it in.
Love it.
And because she is that headstrong, she gets on a mission. So the water softens the dirt. So some say, it can muddy up the waters. Well, you can take it however you like. For me, the earth helps to prevent the water from flowing away turbulently, and the water softens the earth rather than muddy up the waters. It softens that earth so it's not so rigid.
Oh my gosh. That is beautiful. And I just when you said that, For a moment, I couldn't relate to it. And I realized is because from my childhood, my father was inappropriate with how he spoke to me, and it's called covert abuse, and it's the first time I'm really starting to talk about it. Body shaming. In those days, he didn't have words for body shaming or anything like that.
No.
So he used to call me coquette, which is a flirt, and I was too young to understand what that meant. So as I hear you say that, I can feel my body go, oh no, but at the same time going, oh yes,
Helpful.
this is what I want to be. But it was interesting to see, and that's what I think, what I believe, and you do it differently to me because I do it more through counseling and intuition and Reiki and that. But to understand why, if that's who I'm meant to be, why aren't I that? Because there's something holding me.
There was shame around it. That's because right. You were, you know, called names that related to something that may not have been pleasant. Whereas I go, yes, I'm actually not a flirt, but I am a sexy, seductive, sensual woman.
Yes.
And the reason I said, now that's interesting that I said I'm not a flirt. Well, I suppose I could be, but I came from where a flirt is invasive.
Okay.
Right? For me, because I've experienced some horrible things with other women. So it's about embracing it. And the thing is, if you don't relate to something in your chart or you resist it, then you're not living in your true self.
That's it.
Right? And there is no shame around, like, I never used to be like this. I'm quite loud, I'm outspoken, blah, 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 you know, and I get told, but actually I don't care because I'm passionate. And when I say I don't care, I care about a lot of things. I just don't care what people think about me, because I know that I'm coming from a good place and a place of my heart and being in my truth. And I believe a lot of more women need to be in their truth for their own self-love and worthiness and confidence. And I've forgotten where I was going with that. I do this all the time, and that's part of PTSD.
It is.
Shut down.
That's why I make notes, because I normally I make notes because I need to. That's my way. So yeah, and I think that's really important. I'm glad in a way that happened to show people this is what can happen. It's okay for it to happen. It can also be part of menopause. So I had PTSD and menopause at the same time. Yeah. And we need to talk about it. We need to humanize this and say, this is how it happens.
Yeah, and not think of it like I just laugh and I go, oh, fuck, what was I?
That's exactly right. And then hope someone else has remembered and I'm going, oops, I wasn't listening. But yeah, because this is part of why you're doing what you're doing, Julie.
Yes, absolutely. My life has led me to here. So when I became a mother, my daughter was the youngest and smallest TOF baby born in 1988. She had the worst type of TOF. There's different types of TOF children.
What is TOF? I don't know what TOF is.
Tracheoesophageal fistula. So when she was born, her esophagus wasn't fully formed, and then it bridged both ends into her trachea. And she was 8 weeks preemie. She's 35 this year. She's nearly died several times because at 6 months, she was then diagnosed with chronic lung disease. I don't even like using the word disease. I say condition now, but that's what they told me. Anyway, we've had years and years of living in and out of hospital. Up until the age of her being about 15, we probably spent 50% of our time in hospital. When she was a baby was when I discovered essential oils. Okay. And I realized, because I was introduced to them by a friend, and I just fell in love with them. And I was a single mum. I had a child that I was living in and out of hospital with. And I don't know, well, I do know there were times when they would say to me, you need to call in the family. We're not sure if your daughter's going to make it, blah, blah, blah. So I became a woman, a mother on a mission. I was a warrioress, but I was an aggressive warrioress. I didn't know how else to be. I'm actually lucky. I did used to get told they'd take me out of that have security remove me sometimes, because I had to fight the systems. I fought the hospital systems, I fought the school systems, but I also want you to know that there was a lot of good in both of them as well. It was just when things went wrong or some people weren't doing their job properly, who else is going to speak up for their child? A mother. And that's my South Node. And I've been in my masculine warrior woman most of my life. So another reason why I came really into the feminine aspect, to find balance and to really tap into that beautiful, strong, empowered, confident feminine essence, instead of being aggressive all the time, like feeling like I had to be like that to get anywhere, you know.
Yep.
Literally, I used to see their faces when I'd be walking down the corridor and they'd look at me and I knew they would be thinking, oh my God, here she comes again. But I actually didn't care, because it was like some of the things that happened were appalling. Yeah. And some of the states of the hospitals were like third world country in a first world country. And I won't go into it, but it was, you know, by the time my daughter met her partner, I think that was about when she was 19. I can't remember. Anyway, they've been together ever since, but I remember him saying to me, it's my turn to take care of Amy now. Well, I fell apart. I had a full-on breakdown. Yeah. And I'm still healing. So that was like 15 or more years ago, 15 years ago.
What I'm wondering what I'm wondering is, and slightly different, Dad died unexpectedly. For me, it was like I fell apart too, like lost an identity. Who am I now? You know, that came up for me. So what came up for you? Like you said, you fell apart. What was it that was?
I had to go through a big thing. Like there was relief, there was gratitude, there was also fear. Because nobody could take care of my daughter like I could. Nobody knew her like I could. And that wasn't about ego. It came from fear of losing her. Yes. And having to recalibrate myself from being a full-on living my life to keep my daughter alive, to then switching to me and nourishing and taking care of me. Doesn't mean I stopped being there for my daughter, because we are very, very close. But it was like I didn't know how to be. And also I never slept for all of those years. Really, I didn't. There were times when I was awake for 48 hours, or I lived on, 2 to 3 hours sleep, or 5 hours of broken sleep. So my body just went, whoa, I'm collapsing now. It's because some of the responsibility, or a lot of the responsibility, was taken away from me. And I just went into, you realize that you don't have to keep fighting and you don't have to keep going. But I was, you name it, I was diagnosed with it. I could barely walk at one stage. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and I thought, well, I'm not going to let this take me down. I also left a very toxic relationship when my daughter was older as well. And I could literally barely walk. And I was severely depressed, severe anxiety, fibromyalgia, plantar fasciitis. And I just thought, I'm not buying into all of this. And you know what? As soon as I left my relationship, my fibromyalgia disappeared literally within days. I lost weight within a week, as in good weight. There was so much baggage I was carrying. It was really, really powerful. And my God, I have so many stories, so many stories. But, even when I was a 14-year-old girl and I went to a back specialist, a spinal specialist, and he told me that I would be in a wheelchair by the time I was 50. And I thought to myself, I didn't really think much about it other than I don't bloody think so. I have a lot of back issues and, and I have a lot of pain, but I've worked with it. I've got the tools. Studying aromatherapy led me into astrology and energetic healing and herbal medicine. And I do everything every day. If I counted the rituals, I call them rituals, that I do for my own self-healing, I was actually surprised at what I do. So it was life-saving.
Yes. I love that. And also what I want you to
do
show
it,
is
though.
your, pardon?
I had to do it.
Yes. And
Nobody else could do it.
Exactly. And this is coming back to what we we're talking about. We still go to others to seek help, whether it be in business to a coach, whether we go to a spiritualist, whether we go to, you still have to do it. In your own way. Yes, you need support. We also need support that supports you in doing it yourself.
Yes.
That's what I've found.
Responsible for my life.
Exactly.
No.
And showing you how to do that.
Yes. And trusting myself as well. And I'm highly intuitive. I mean, I remember Amy's first surgeon said to me, "Gosh, Julie, you ask a lot of questions. You know a lot about this," because I studied more anatomy and physiology than nurses do.
Mm.
The nurses used to be surprised. They're the ones that told me, "God, you do so much more than what we had to do." That was for my diploma of aromatherapy, which was very full on back then. It's not anymore. So I wasn't afraid to ask questions, and I wasn't afraid to say no. So one of her respiratory specialists, we got on really, really well, and he loved, all of her specialists loved her. But he would say to me, "I want Amy to be on antibiotics every day for the rest of her life." And I went, "No, she's not." Mm. It's like, I don't think so. So we were always having sort of like minor discussions about it. And I went, no. What's she going to be like when she's older? Now, she's just spent the last 18 months bringing her body back to homeostasis from a lifetime of medications and different treatments and different surgeries and all kinds of things. And I was glad that I stood my ground on that. And this is what it's about, and I used to watch and witness how many people were shut down by the medical teams. But it was because I knew stuff that I had the ability to go, "No, it's not going to happen." Or they wanted to have a permanent button in her tummy for feeding. And I went, "No," because she was at higher risk of infection and that would have affected her lungs. So there was that as well, and dietitians, I used to call them the bane of my life. Because they'd tell me what I had to feed my daughter, and I'd go, "I don't think so," because it was always like McDonald's fried foods. I let her body, I let her choose her foods, and she always chose. She would eat a bowl of spinach, a bowl of broccoli, so it was like, they actually threatened to not let me take her home once because I wouldn't comply with them. So I pretended to comply. Sorry, but that's what I had to do, because otherwise I could have been had up for abuse.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing is, and I'm really loving this, is that, again, it's allowing your daughter, or it's allowing anyone who's going through healing, whether it be physical, mental, spiritual, to learn to understand and trust their body and listen and then act on it. See, we're not taught that. We've been shut down so much in so many different ways in our life that we don't know. As you said, we comply. We don't have the ability to say no, as you said. I just thank you for sharing that and for your strength and sharing that on this sacred conversation, because I think it's really important. And again, I'm going to talk about women too, because that's who I deal with too. As women, we need to stand up for ourselves. And I'm wondering also, you've done it all through your life. I did it for a part and then lost it and come back. But I think coming back to the age that we're talking about, that being the Marga woman, I think, as you said, we'll do something else on that, another conversation. But I'm learning now to go, you know what? No.
Yeah, the Mega stage is about reclaiming ourselves. We're in a very different phase of life, and this is the new phase. We'll do a call on that, because that's a topic of its own. Just before, I really want to say, though, that I'm not against orthodox medicine. It saved my daughter's life. But what we have to be discerning about is, you know, what is good and what is not. Now, I had people in natural therapies giving me a hard time because I had on orthodox medication, I had orthodox people do it. So I was getting it from both ends, and I'm just going to be very blunt here. And I used to say to people, fuck off. I know what my daughter needs, and she's getting the best of both.
Exactly. And I agree.
It was holistic.
Exactly.
Like, don't come to me and tell me how and what I need to do when you don't even know or have experienced this. And I even had an energetic healer once say to me, if you came to me more often with Amy, she would never be in hospital. And I thought, you just lost me, man. You just lost me because you are not that good. Because we need both.
We do need both. And talk about ego and putting themselves up there. And that's what a lot of people are doing on every level. It's just mind-blowing. When you wake up to it, you go, oh my God, I followed that, or I thought I was doing the right thing, you know. So again, thank you for that. Show openness, or it's more than openness.
Educate yourself.
Educate, exactly. We've got to come back to that. Exactly right. And this is why, again,
be responsible. We have to be responsible. Stop putting it in other people's hands. This is why you lose your power.
Yes.
Your essence of being.
Exactly. And the other thing I'm going to add, because I can always remember a therapist saying to me years ago when I was going through all the stuff with Dad and his alcoholism, you can keep blaming, you remain the victim. Hold them accountable, you become responsible. And I've never, that was 30 odd years ago, and I've always stuck by that. Because like you said, if you don't educate yourself, well, you're going to lose your power. You're going to remain victim, poor me.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
And I just think this is, and I love the way you've weaved in the rich, but I really, really want to, if we're happy to go down this, I'd love you to show your oracle cards, because this is also part of what you do. So how you support women is aromatherapy. You've made me a few years ago a beautiful blend, and I want to share this with the audience who are watching us. Your capacity to tune into me, even though we lived in different parts of Australia, was amazing. The way you talked me through it, when I received it, I could feel everything. It was just like, oh my gosh, it was powerful, really, really powerful.
Yeah.
It's a gift. It is a gift. It is a gift that you give.
I have. I did. It just came. I'm going to claim it. I am an awesome perfumer with only botanicals. I am, and you know, I feel that I have the right to say now I'm an expert, and that's not coming from ego. I've lived it, I've breathed it, I have served thousands of women, whether it be, I lectured in aromatherapy for 13 years. So whether it be with lecturing, with mentoring, with massage, with creating perfumes, my perfumes have gone all over the world. And then this oracle, this was a dream of mine that I started 27 years ago. And it's been through, this is its third evolution. And this is the one that I created. So that was a code that was made for me that is eventually going to be a tattoo. And that was interesting because I tried so hard to what am I going to put on the back of my cards? And this kept coming. And there's a bit of a story behind that. It was a bit of a challenge to be able to be allowed to put it on my cards, which I never thought about. But anyway, it was agreed that I could, because it wasn't what I never thought about making money from it. It was just that it kept coming to me. It had to be. And it's quite a feminine, masculine code. And anyway, and then with the oils, I've been working professionally with essential oils for about 30 plus years now. And the way that I've worked with them, I have such an intimate relationship with them. I call them my friends. And I've like the stars, you know, in astrology, I think of everything as an archetypal energy. And that way people seem to be able to resonate how they can bring it into their life. And I speak on simple terms. I don't need to go into all the chemistry and the mathematics of the sky. People don't understand that. They don't want to know that. So I created, with the help of Emma Vega Malta.
Oh, yes.
She did the digital artwork for me. So what we did was, they're kind of both of our designs, because I have a mood boards, I did a little bit of sketching, all the colors, you know. And actual fact, I used to do fashion design when I was younger. So I modeled these off some of my most famous, luxurious fashion designers.
I love the full circle. See the circle?
Yeah, yeah.
And she designed your backdrop too, did she?
She did my backdrop. So she did the art. So for me, and we worked so well together, and we both love Art Deco and Baroque. So I wanted to marry the Baroque and the Art Deco together. So let's just pull a collective card. I'm happy to pull 3. But I love this. So it's too many fillet. Oh, actually, I usually pick cards. Oh, there is so many. No, I'm going to do it. There's too many to talk about. That's a shame. So so there's so many ways you can use these, and one of the things is that people that love essential oils and what they represent, but they can't use them because they're hypersensitive, can use the cards, because it's all about energy. Energy is matter, right? So what we think, feel, and speak is our wand. So we can tap into the energy, and there's a beautiful PDF that I've created with these. I'm going to put, oh, okay. So here's Violet. I think I'll pull 3 because we'll get a theme.
Okay.
So you've heard that saying, you know, like a shrinking violet.
Yes.
Well, here's the thing. So this is an amazing plant, and one of the most expensive. I explain it like the flower, but I'm saying violet leaf because violet leaf is all that is actually available. And so the best way that I would describe this is how I see her is she will stay in the background. She will stay quiet when she doesn't have anything to say. But when she is ready, she will come out, and she has, like, she stands in her power. Like, you think of the flowers when they bloom, lots of beautiful little flowers come out, and they're very significant, and the scent that emanates from them is very powerful. So, and all of these cards represent the feminine essence, the sensuality, the sexuality. And I've put the colors attuned to the chakras and color magic as well, and to the plant. So, you know, violet is a color of the higher realms and the higher mind. So trusting our higher mind, trusting what comes, and then being able to I can't think of the word, interpret that into what is. And also green is the heart chakra. Right? So it's also abundant, prosperity, communication, even though communication comes from the throat chakra. Green is also about communication. And so there's a very, I don't want to say spiritual, or it's very high vibration in this beautiful goddess. And you can see her, she's standing there, she's proud, and she's come out when she has something to share with you, or she has a message for you. Okay.
And that's perfect for, and I know I don't know about anyone else, everyone wants to comment, it's perfect for me for where I am right now.
Yeah, yeah. And this always happens. So I'll pull another card.
And no matter, and just saying to people too, no matter when you read it, it'll always be appropriate because that's the intention, that's the energy, you know.
And it's how we interpret. So sandalwood. So by the way, with this, you know, we can work with the chakras, and you know, with that higher realm, we can think about Uranus and the rebel, but it's the higher realm of the mind. And Uranus rules Aquarius, but there's also an earthing energy with her too, because she's low to the ground, she's evergreen, and there's that very earthed element as well. So quite balancing. And the same with sandalwood, right? This is sandalwood. And she is mainly earth with a bit of water, very good at going with the flow. And how I've always visualized sandalwood is this beautiful feminine druidess tree or dryad, and her branches are out up there reaching out into the ethers, and her roots are tapped into Mother Earth. And so it's like we have this ever-flowing energy of earth and ether. And sandalwood, like frankincense, it just works on every chakra. It's very spiritual. It can be very grounding, very sensual, and abundance. And this is a very powerful oil for releasing the past and being able to move forward. That's the key thing for sandalwood, letting go. And that's even like if there's spirits or unwanted energies around, you can do a ritual and bring in frankincense and sand.
It's interesting you saying that, because I'm writing my memoir at the moment. Whether I publish it or not, I don't know. But part of that is it came to me through a meditation. By writing it, I'm leaving behind my trauma. It's like I'm freeing myself from it. I'm transmuting it. So what you're saying, it's like that whole, so isn't that interesting? Because that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm writing stories I would normally write about. But whether I put them in or not, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's a great process. So it's like you're here to stand and speak because you have something to say. And by doing that, you're helping to let go in order to be able to move forward. And then the beautiful blood orange has come in, and she's life force, joy, happiness, abundance. So let the sun shine down on you and, you know, really ignite your life force and be happy.
What a beautiful way to thank you for the whole conversation. Thank you for that sharing. So I wanted people to get a feel for who you are, women. So what I'm going to to contact you, we're going to put it in descriptions. How can they contact you to find out more or want to?
I'm always on Facebook because I love connection, and I love you know, so you can. Julie Nelson might be under Artisan Botanical Perfumer or Rich Witch on Facebook. My website, julienelson.com.au. I have a group, Rich Witch.
Oh, do you?
Yes, I spend a lot of time in there. We're a beautiful community. I'm very mindful of who, like, I want women in there that are, you know, we do talk about spells and all of this kind of thing, but I without offending anybody, I'm not into all the you know, I want to hex somebody or I want to bring my lover back, or, you know,
no,
that's not real witchcraft to me. So we're about rising unapologetically in our rich witch selves.
Love it. Well, I'll put those, once you send me, I'll put them all there so anyone can contact you. What's one thing you'd like to end? What would you like to say to our listeners?
There's so many things. Love always comes to me. I think I have a formula. All right. So really tap into your feminine essence and love yourself unapologetically, because when we have that self-love, which only we can give to ourselves, that gives us self-worth, which gives us self-confidence or more confidence, and that creates attraction and magnetism to be able to manifest.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I've learned how to use captions. I ended up stopping taking notes, because normally I'll be writing furiously. Thank you so much, Julie. Thank you for anyone for watching. If you've got any comments, please put there. One of us will get back to you. Even though it's on my channel, I will let Julie know.
Tag me, whatever, wherever you put it. Yeah.
And let's keep this conversation happening. Thank you.
Oh, I can't wait.
Me too. Oh, anyone wants to subscribe to my channel, or you've also have a podcast, do, because we are making a decision that we will be doing more and talking in this way, because I think, look, I know I'm putting out there, we might even do a series. So, but we let it out into ether, see what happens, what actually comes in. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Julie. Please comment.
Bye.